What's up, guys? Patrick here from WP Builder Helper, and today we have part two of building a web page with Brizy. An important note, I wanted to make a little announcement. I went to Brizy's brand new webinar, and in that webinar, we got to learn some very useful information about what's coming up with Brizy. Needless to say, a lot of the things that I've been complaining about, Brizy is actually making efforts to change, which is a great thing. I can't wait to see it when it's finally out and it's ready to go. So for those people who are kind of maybe downing on Brizy or don't trust Brizy or whatever the case is, give it some time. They showed some very cool things in that webinar, and if you actually go back and watch it on the Brizy channel, you will see me in the webinar making comments. And I had a lot of my questions answered by JP and the Brizy team, and I really thank them for being able to do that, because I think that that was an excellent webinar that gave us some really cool indications of where they're going with Brizy and what we can expect in the future. So for those people who are like, hey, you've been downing on them in your videos and whatnot, look, it's all feedback. It's there to improve the process. And by the sounds of it, it looks like they've been listening, because everything that I had mentioned that people have been talking about on the forums and on Facebook and everything like that, Brizy's fixing. So give them some time, let them fix it, let it come out, and let's see where they are at the end of the year. All right? So let's get started. All right, everyone. So here we are again, back at our website, our Brizy website that we've been looking at. And the purpose of this was to go over, if you remember, we were developing this. We had already come up with this piece of the website. So now we were going to develop this part, and then we were going to go into this part. So here's how we're going to do this, because I learned some things. This website was supposed to come out much earlier than it did. I'm sorry, as it turns out, I had a huge problem. I had misspoken on the website, on the video, and I had to go back and make edits, and by the time I was done, it was just, I might as well have just redone it. And rather than put out wrong information, I'd rather put out right information and let you guys know what I'm doing wrong or what I'm doing right. One of the things I ran into, and I'll just show you and I'll talk about it as I go. Sometimes as we play with things, you'll discover things that maybe you didn't know was wrong with something, but maybe you did know it was wrong. And I ran into an issue with Brizy, and it's a very minor issue, but it's still an issue, where when I was coming to the header, I realized, so after I did my research and I said, okay, why is these headers not working on these home pages? I went in and I looked at the Brizy update that they did. And in the update, there's a caveat part. And in the caveat, it says right here, you have to make the header block a global first, and then add it on your page to modify it. So I said, okay, cool, let's do that. Well, when I went to the header block, I started getting frustrated because there was no global block. Like, you don't have a save. You have this favorite right here where you can favorite, but it's not the same thing. So if we go in and we add a block, like let's add in this block, I'll show you what I'm talking about just so that you can understand it. So let's just add in a block just for giggles. And you'll notice when you go over here and you go to save this, you have this block here. And when you click that, you have a global. Well, what I didn't understand, and it's my fault, when you go over here, that same global is under this. And I didn't expect it there. I just thought that that stood for the menu. And I mean, it does say menu, so I assumed it had this sticky portion. I didn't think it had anything to make it global. So I was frustrated a little bit trying to figure that out. But you live, you learn, and whatever. So in order to save this, we've done this wrong, because in templates, I'm sure in the future, maybe it'll go back to being where everything's in a template, because I was kind of almost thinking it was like Elementor, but it's not for right now. Maybe in the future it'll change, but for right now, that's not how it works. So what you want to do is you want to turn this into a global block. And when you turn it into a global block, you're going to get that little globe icon, and at that point it is a global block. So we're going to update this, and actually No. We'll do it this way. It's fine. We're going to go back into the dashboard, and we're going to go to a page that I had built. And that page is going to house this. So for right now, you don't need to worry about conditions with Brizy if you're building something. All right. So here we are on the front page, and you can see that this global block is now inserted. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this page, and you can see that they kind of have this gallery style here with some wording on it. So that's kind of what we want to do, is we want to add that in. So I'm going to go in, and I have already set up some images that I want to use. So the images are going to be very, very similar, but let's look at their galleries and see what they've done with their galleries. Sometimes I like looking at Brizy's galleries. I think that they're fun the way they set them up, but it appears that I don't see anything like that. They do have a hero section, and certainly the hero section could have something like that, but I don't see anything close to what I'm looking for. So because I don't see anything, we're gonna make this custom from scratch. So we'll go in here, and we're going to add in a blank block. We're going to get rid of this block here, and we're going to drag a text element into here because that's where we want some text. And we'll go ahead and center it because their text was centered. And then we're going to take and we're going to go to the background setting, and we're going to actually add in an image because I have some images that I've already uploaded. So that was on the original video that I had to go back and delete. But I've added some images that I've already uploaded. So we'll take and we'll use, for the beginning image, we'll use this. And we'll select it, and it'll be in your background. And so now we can't see the text, and that kind of sucks. So first off, let's give it some space. We can give it some, like they have this gap above and gap below. Let's give it 100, just so that it has that. And let's do this. Let's give it 100. Okay, so cool. Now it's got some space between it, which makes it look a little bit less. As a matter of fact, let's go 250. I think that that's just not, it's not enough space. 250. Nope. So that does not work. All right, let's go back to 0. Let's go back to 0, and then we'll just add in padding, because padding's the probably easier way to do that. Let's go do this. Let's go do this. There we go. There we go. That's looking much better. So another thing that you're going to want to do is, you notice that in here it's got a paragraph. Let's set it to heading 1 because we want it to be a heading. And we're going to make it a white color. So we want it white, but we also want it to be a thicker font. So I'm just going to choose something in here. This is not going to be, you know, what I would use, but I'm choosing something, and then we're going to go back and we're going to add in a drop shadow just so we can make sure that you can see it. See? So instantly you can read that, and we'll put some wording on that. So we'll say oh shoot, it just reset. So we'll say we are one of the best builders, and let's go back and we'll have to reset that. Sorry, apparently I deleted it, and once you delete it, that's it. So it kept that, it kept the font, but it deleted our colors. It deleted our colors. That kind of sucks. So we'll go back and do that. Let's add in the shadow back again. Okay. And then in here, we're also going to go back and add in we're going to add in this blue that they have. So I think that's a color overlay, and you can pick your color overlay here. I think that's a blue, and let's go down to about 75%. That looks pretty good. That's dark enough. And then from here, we want to do something a little different. So what we want to do is we want to add in the ability to have the slide similar to what they have. So we're going to take and we're going to do that. We're going to go in and we're going to add the slide just so you could see it. And the way that you do that is you go into the block and you just basically say click slider. And from here, it's going to give you these arrows and it's going to give you these. So if you want to customize those, you're going to have to go into the actual slider section and you can play with the arrows. So in this, we don't want the arrows to show, but we do want the colors to show. We want the colors to come across with the slider. Let's see, where is that? Where is our slider? There is a way to customize this. Let's see if we can't find it. So that's cool. It copied our piece over, but let's see. There it is, border dot. So it adds this once you do that. Now, one thing that I had mentioned that I did not see a way that you could change, but you can't edit these dots. You'd have to edit them with CSS. Apparently, they just don't have anything where you could edit them for anything like that. So unfortunately, if you're looking for a way that you can make your dots a little bit bigger or something along those lines, you're going to have to use CSS to do that because they just don't have that type of thing. But as you can see, we have a slider here, and we'll even make one of these. We'll change one of these, change the background to it to something else. Let's see if we can't change it to one of our other pictures. So let's change it to this. And I don't like the location of that. Let's go down here. We want her more centered. I love that feature in Brizy. That's really one of the best features. We hire many different types of people. Okay, and this is a really, I mean, obviously these are just headers and these are just here, but it follows about the same idea, because theirs doesn't even change as you switch. It's just the background's changing. So they're just giving you an idea. So lastly, what we want to do is we want to have a footer. So we're going to go in and we're going to pick a footer, and I'm just going to choose something that's pretty close to it, and then I'm going to customize that thing. So in this case, I'm going to choose this one, I believe. Yes, I like this one. So we're going to get rid of the element, this menu element, because quite frankly it doesn't have one. And let's go here. I'm pretty sure I saw that this has a border on it. And if we go into the color here, we should see, and yep, right here you can see it has a border. It has a grayish border that they used. So from here, we don't have a logo or an icon, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll also get rid of this. So the only difference between this is that they have an address here, they have some icons, and then they have this all rights reserved on the side. So we're going to copy this just because I want to try and copy the wording, because this wording here is terrible. And we're gonna move this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this and we're gonna just move it over here on the side of it. And when you see this gray here, this is probably one of the biggest struggles with Brizy, is trying to move things like that and knowing where you're moving it to. But if you ever, sometimes you can get it to move. Like if I move this up or down, it's just gonna move. Let's try it this way. Yeah, it's not even letting me move this. It's just going to move it up or down, which I know, yeah, that's not what I wanted at all. Let's hit back. That's kind of a pain, but that's okay. We can do it like this, really, in all honesty. If you wanted to, you could just take this and you can just move this one piece and put it in here, and then take this and move this. Instead of moving columns, you can move this whole entire piece. Now what we're gonna do is I want to delete these because I don't think that they fit here. I don't want to recreate what we've already recreated, so we'll hit delete, and then we're gonna go up here and we're just gonna copy this, and then we're gonna go here and we're gonna paste this, and there we go. And we can get rid of this one here, So we're going to actually go in, select this button, and then go in here and paste it. And in order to move these icons, you got to hit this little button here and it'll move them to the other side. So great, now we've gotten our icons. Now the one problem we have is that, number one, this is off. Obviously we need to have it a little bit bigger. Let's set it for about 150. Make it a little bit bigger. That's a little bit too big. Let's go 75, 75. There we go. That looks like a much better footer. 75 and 75. Those icons are still a little bit small for me, but for a website, it's fine. They could be a little bit bigger. So we still have one area that we don't. We have this address here. So let's go in. Let's grab the text element, and we'll put it above these right here. And we'll just take and we'll just type in a generic address: 1234 Street Drive, and it's in state. Initials, we'll just put whatever, where I am, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we want to add in a little bit of space at the bottom. So let's put in a little bit of a gap, maybe a 10. Okay, so now we've got a gap. We also want to change this font, even though we're about to set the background to this. We want to change this font to something that is white. We want this whole entire section to be white, because this background is about to change. We're going to turn it that same blue color as we did above. So now we're going to need to go in and we're going to need to set this font to white so that that's white. And then we're going to have to go in and set these icons. But Brizy has a really cool feature that I'm about to show you. When you go into your icons, you'll want to go into background, and we're going to set this as white. We're going to set the actual icon as blue, like it is above. And we're going to do it again. We're going to set the icon as white. And we're going to set the background, background is white, icon as blue. So that's my fault. So that way when you roll over it, it does the same thing that it does here, which is nothing. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to copy, and then we're going to click paste style, and that is it. All right, our page is set up. So let's view this on the front end and see what this looks like. So as you can see, there's a really, really basic page. This is not a complicated page. So I'm going to apologize if somebody wanted a more in-depth tutorial about how to do a more complicated page. But hopefully you learned some things from taking this away from just watching me struggle with this. Hopefully I've told you some things that you could do. I'm going to mention one more thing before I leave, but here we go. Here's our website. Now, is this the greatest website? No, it's not. There's definitely things we could do to make it a little bit prettier than what it is, but the purpose was to get it close to this, and I think we did. There's some definite things that we could go in and do to make it stand out a little bit more, but just using Brizy, we were able to copy this. Maybe not word for word and get it exact, because we didn't play with every single piece of the builder that we could, but we got it pretty close. And at the end of the day, this looks really, really good. I don't think that this is bad for someone who's just building something and they don't want to go out and pay somebody a large sum of money just for someone to design something for them. So I hope that this has helped you out. Hopefully it's given you an idea, but let's go back into the builder, and I wanted to tell you what I was talking about. So I didn't explain in the beginning, but Brizy had a webinar, and in that webinar, one of the biggest things that they were complaining about, or not complaining about, but were talking about, was the fact that there was a lot of things coming out for Brizy in the future. Many of those different things that I complained about in the first post, they actually addressed in the webinar. If you go back, you'll see my name in the webinar because I brought up many questions, and JP was very, very nice, and even Demi was very, very nice at answering almost all the questions I have for Brizy. So I still say what I say. If you need Brizy for certain projects, it's not the builder for you today. But, however, that being said, there's a lot of stuff coming in the future that is going to make this a rival for someone like Elementor, someone like Beaver Builder, someone like WP Bakery, one of those builders. I think that Brizy's got it's got a strong foothold, and if they keep coming out with some of these things, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. But the last thing I wanted to mention is you definitely have to make sure you're setting everything as global. Point being, because if you're not setting as global and you make any changes to this on another page, then what's going to happen is, because you're inserting these as global, it'll make the changes across the whole entire website. That's unfortunate, because if this was just a template, you could just make the changes in the template and you would be fine no matter what happened. But because we're still using global elements, it is what it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope I've taught you something. I know that it's not a long-winded tutorial, and I know we didn't go into every little thing that we could have with Brizy, but I hope you've really enjoyed it. If you've learned something and you like what you've learned, go ahead and comment down below, subscribe, do all that great stuff. And I've got more tutorials coming up. I think I'm going to do another tutorial pretty soon where I actually show you how to build an affiliate site with Oxygen. I think I'm going to build an affiliate site with Oxygen. I have this really cool idea of building something that looks really neat. And once again, just like this one, I'll give this away for free. If there's some way, I don't think I can export and import yet, but if there was some reason that you wanted this, I don't think you would, but if for some reason you did want this, I'll take and I'll put that out there. I'll end up making a repository with all these things and giving them away for free as I'm building that. You'd have to be on my mailing list to get that, but if you take and go to the bottom of the video, in the description you'll find a link to my mailing list. Go ahead and join that. I do not spam you. All you're going to get is the updates of content. I don't sell my list or anything like that. So look to see you guys next time. Later.